started. All right, welcome back, everybody. So let's jump in real quick. So let's recap real quick. So the last couple of weeks, we started our story, our journey with the basic and foundation of cybersecurity. We said, what are some of those key things, basic language of IT in general? We talked about application, database, operating system, different cloud types. And we talked about network connectivity of multiple devices. And we mentioned the need to protect those network in general. Then we sneaked into the foundation of cybersecurity, CIA, confidentiality, integrity, availability. Then we also talked about non-repudiation, meaning nobody can just deny they made a change because it's capturing the audit log for those changes. Then we sneaked into some vital areas in cybersecurity. We said asset management. This is simply saying how do we keep together all of our assets in our organization. The hope is that we've also classified those assets into different categories depending on the industry. At the minimum, software, hardware, data type. So you would have captured all those information. Then we went further to also sneak into vulnerability management and said, okay, at the end of the day, you might have all these assets, but if we don't identify or have a strategy to capture potential weakness or vulnerabilities, then that could be a gap in general. Then we sneaked in to say, okay, let's talk about identity and access management, meaning how do people gain access to these assets? So we're talking about the likes of principle of least privilege, just give people access to what they need. Then we talk about role-based access, give them access based on the roles. We also talk about multi-factor authentication. Those are some highlight. We talk about monitoring of access to users in our environment. There's a concept called zero trust, which simply says don't trust any access, really. So if anybody, that's why at times, let me tell you, when you log into your system, weirdly to just randomly say, you know, change your password or put a one-time password. You might have used maybe your child's laptop to quickly check some information. It will prompt you because it has identified the laptop as a new IP, new unique asset, granted access to your personal email or something. Or you go to a different location, maybe a different geography. The system automatically identify, wait a minute, this looks weird. So it's just zero trust, meaning the architecture, the infrastructure is saying at any point, don't trust any access. Yes, it's you, but also it's not you. That's the assumption, which is great. I think it has saved us more stress, I think, because it forces us to, it's frustrating for a user, but it's good security practice in general. Then we sneaked into SIEM, security incident event monitoring. We're saying at the end of the day, we should have a strategy to continuously monitor access at all time. I like that. Ade, trust but verify. That's very true. So we sneaked into that also. We talked a little bit about incident response. That's a topic I think at the end of the day, it's not a function of if you would be attacked, it's when. And in the words, I like this quote so well. The CEO of Cisco, I believe, he said, there are two types of clients, those that have been attacked and those that have been attacked, but they are not aware. And I agree with that statement actually, because many times your clients, it's just that they're not aware they've been attacked. That's all. But if you think you've never been exploited potentially, I think you're just not thoughtful about it yet. But all of us are going to be attacked. Every one of us, I guarantee you, somebody has tried to hack into your system. Your security would have done its job, hopefully, and that's why we are still feeling good. But it's a norm now because the entry point is much more minimal. Somebody can buy a crazy software in the dark web for a few $100 and attack a Fortune 500. So it makes it easier for people to try to compromise us, right? So it's a big deal at the moment. So that's one thing to think about. Then after that, we also sneaked in and said, okay, all of this is fine, but at the end of the day, we should have certain best practice that we follow. The easiest way to benchmark yourself is to say, you know what, let's use leading best practices. Some of the time we hear the word framework, standard. So let's keep it as best practices. Many times it's optional. You don't have to implement it necessarily. But If you're in security, compliance, any of this field, you know you are smart to quickly implement it. Two reasons: for your own peace of mind, for sure. Because I can bet you, if independent auditors, assessors, regulators come in and they realize you've not even benchmarked your set of guides or controls to some of this leading standard or framework, I guarantee you they are going to scrutinize you times three. That you don't want, really. But I can guarantee you, when they know that you followed some of those best practices, it softened their posture a little bit. It might not be fair, but that's the reality. And I've been in the other side, right? That if I see organization, oh, they've benchmarked to certain framework, you just look and say, okay, well, yeah, they're following good practice in your mind. So your scrutiny, you will still follow your guide, but you're not, you have made assumption in your mind that they are okay. Because we're talking a meeting and say, oh, they've benchmarked to NIST and ISO. It's a code word to say they know what they're doing. It should be a fair environment, right? So for your sanity, it's good to say, make in fact, definitely your leadership would push for that because they know, dude, don't get me to unnecessary pressure or exposure. So, and one of those big ones we said as a team was NIST CSF 2.0. Let me ask you, for the fun of it, NIST CSF 2.0, let's talk about that for a second. What is the new thing that came out of that CSF 2.0? If you don't mind, let's see. Go ahead and type, please, if you don't mind. Cybersecurity framework. Love it. Govern, 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 govern. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, you might say, why am I focused on this? I could ask you in an interview. Somebody told us last week they asked our E in an interview. They could, because the reason is simple. There was an older version 1.1, then 2.0 came out. It's fair to say, hey, dude, what is the difference in your opinion? And honestly, if you don't know it and I ask you, it doesn't mean I'll totally dismiss you, but you lose some brownie points, definitely, because I'll feel, you're not really aligned to your industry. Because if it's my livelihood and you tell me there's a new guideline or standard that comes out, it's on me to be a little bit intellectually curious to see what has changed, right? So it just makes us much more, um, credible at the end of the day. Okay, let me ask you. Now, within NIST also, which of those substandard do we use for privacy and security, in your opinion? Which one do you think we should use for privacy and security? I love it. 853. Now, do me a favor. I know we can easily type 53 or 54, but please put the 853. You can even make it more robust, say NIST 853. I want us to get used to it really, because if we don't, you'll probably even, oh, Green, Kevin is even out of our league. He even said revision 5. Let's go. I love it. Kevin said, okay, not even 853, revision 5. Love it. Can we put RV5? That's the most. Oh man, Kevin, I don't want to be in your class, man. You're gonna make me look silly. Okay, awesome. I love it. But that's really the mindset, to be honest, because if you when you say that in an interview, I can bet you 80% of your interviewer will probably not know. They will not even really, because not everybody cares about. But anytime somebody comes in with that kind of subtle authority, people notice, because I will not directly correct you, but I'll just say, oh, you mean revision of, 853 revision 5? They will just, oh, okay. I mean, don't make your interviewer look stupid, okay? Because they'll be afraid to give you job. But at least just in a respectful way, right? Just, oh, you mean revision 5? Just to show the authority in a subtle way. People will notice, I guarantee you. People that are not in that field might not, but anyone that understand that field would notice immediately, oh, okay, this person really understands it, right? Okay, let's go a step further. What about if I ask you, which of the version do we apply to supply chain? Supply chain is important in cyber too, because we need to make sure supply chain is, or else it can compromise our security too. Yeah, okay. Love it. NIST 800-161. Thank you. All right, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go a step further. Which of them can we also implement for risk assessment in general? All right, awesome. love it, guys, ladies. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's go. Let's keep moving. Thank you. That's awesome, folks. Because those are critical, really. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know the difference, you're already in trouble, in my opinion. Because you can wing it, but this makes you different. You're different, really. You're better than I am when I got into this, to be honest. Because I didn't know the difference. I just say, oh, NIST framework, NIST framework, NIST framework. I bullshit my way out of it for a while, but over time I realized, oh boy, I was just lucky. If it was someone like me now, I would have chewed myself too. So it's better you just know it now so that you'll not be in a situation where someone will challenge you and it will make you lose credibility immediately. Okay. All right, let's go a step further. What about it's an international company and they have multiple locations worldwide. They are thinking of using ISO. Which of the ISO would they need to be certified to obtain their certification? Love it. Delzy, you're awesome. Ibebe, Tosin, Florence, awesome. Love it. Okay, I've done a good job, folks. I feel proud of myself on this one. For real, because this is big stuff, folks. Now, remember again, if somebody is certified in the certification they have based on the policy procedure is on ISO 27001. Now, okay, let's take it a step further. 27002 focuses on what? I'm stretching it now. Let's say 27002. Love it. Implementation, execution. Okay, love it. Love it. Oh man, I feel like just taking a vacation and go drink margarita. You guys are awesome. But this is it really the control implementation, the security controls, because now this is the step by step. These are the controls now. Again, you know, my thinking is always what were the things if when I got in I wished I knew. So my focus is my own folks must be very good and better at this because in your mind this is so amazing. Like I said, for me in the past, I was thinking, oh, I should do everything, but I should do 7001, but no. So really, it's just that I was lucky. I didn't have someone to kind of chew me then, you know. But I used the terms loosely in a wrong way then when I started too. So, but with you, all your thinking is different. Um, Show grace a little bit to folks, though, but you're different in thinking because you get it really. That's awesome. Okay, so those are the key things